Hello viewers and welcome to newzimbabwe.com's Economic Insights program, which we hold regularly to try and unpack some of the complex issues transpiring within our economy and society in general. This afternoon we are blessed to be hosting Mr. Zvidzai Maburutse, the Country Director at International Rescue Committee. Welcome, Mr. Maburutse.
Thank you very much, Alois.
Maybe to begin with, would you mind just introducing your organization to our viewers?
Thank you very much. International Rescue Committee is an international development and humanitarian organization which works in about 38 countries globally. And our main areas is supporting people whose lives and livelihoods have been affected by conflict, to help them to recover, gain control, and live life with dignity. And the areas which we support, we are focusing in 6 areas. In areas of food insecurity, areas of health, areas of safety of the people, areas of education, areas of power, which is mainly called governance. And those are the areas which we normally focus with. And in Zimbabwe, we have been here for the past 10 years, and we have been really focusing in areas of health, water and sanitation, protection of women, and as well as economic recovery and resilience, which we have been doing in Zimbabwe. And we are operating currently in 4 districts, which is Beitbridge, Chimanimani, Chipinge, and Nyanga. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I understand that you have been involved so much in these Cyclone Idai areas like Chimanimani. Would you mind just informing us what you have been doing in these areas?
Yeah, when the cyclone happened last year, we did support the people in Chimanimani, and we did support them with immediate support, which was making sure people have got basic food to eat, they've got basic water. And then after that, we then looked at integrated community-based approach programs. We're looking at how should they be recovering from these, from Cyclone Idai. So we started then supporting about 18,000 families with cash for work, so that at least they can rehabilitate deep tanks, bridges, and roads, so that at least some of those areas can be passable. We as well managed to rehabilitate some of the infrastructure like latrines, and especially disability-friendly latrines. And we established about 3 women-friendly centers. Why we did this? Because we realized that women, after this Cyclone Idai, were the most affected. And those women centers, women would come in, talk about their issues. Women and girls will come talk about their issues, and then we'll talk about the psychosocial support, build them skills, so that at least they can be quickly recovering from all those. And we have really realized that this helped a lot of women, and most of these women came in and talking about their trauma, because normally when things like this happen, there's no space where women normally meet and talk about these issues, because we realized there were a lot of GBV cases and cases where women needed to be protected. Thank you.
Okay, now considering that this issue actually entered the public domain and was more debated when the cyclone hit this area, what do you see any differences in terms of the assistance being afforded to these people in these Cyclone Idai areas? Has there been any improvement, or there's still much need?
Yes, what we have seen is people have been looking at the immediate support, which was the humanitarian work, and we have seen as well people are looking at as well recovery. We have seen roads being built right now, schools being rehabilitated, latrines being rehabilitated, and even some of the people being supported with economic activities, so that at least they can be able to recover. You know, when these cyclones happen like this, it takes longer time for people to really recover from these cyclones. However, still more needs to be more work needs to be done, so that at least we can look at these cyclones from a from a disaster risk reduction, looking at from a preventive point of view, and as well as saying how do we prepare the communities to be able to understand how the climatic issues are happening, and then to be able to reduce the vulnerability which causes the impact and the scale of these disasters to be very severe. Thank you.
Okay, now when this cyclone hit this area, we understand that the economy was quite volatile with spiraling exchange rates, and this time around there's been the introduction of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe foreign exchange auction platform, which seems to have stabilized the rates, at least maybe according to some analysts' perceptions. What do you think about this current situation in our economy?
Yes, I think that has been a good move in terms of stabilizing the foreign currency, because one of the things which we have been worried about is when we give these people like support, especially right now, when we give these people, we normally give them what we call multi-purpose cash grants, which we calculate so that at least they can be able to meet their basic needs. And when there is a stable currency, we realize that prices will stabilize. And then when we as well transfer money into their accounts, they can be able to preserve the value so that at least they will be able to meet the basic food basket, because we calculate it on a basic food basket which is required for a family. And we have seen that it is helping right now, because we are getting to a level where the disparity between the official and the parallel was affecting and eroding the value of the money which we're giving to these people. But I think right now we have seen that with the stabilization of the exchange rate and the stabilization of the prices, it's helping communities at well to be able to, the little which we give, to be able to go a long way. Thank you.
Okay, now, almost a year after the cyclone, there are still visible situations where you find people living in tents. From your assessment, what is really the cause of this?
Unfortunately, at IRC we don't work on shelter, but I understand they have been through the UN and the line ministries. There have been discussions of how do we resettle these people so that at least they can be built into given permanent households in areas which are not susceptible to these areas. And I think the government and the shelter cluster, they are having plans of what should be done on a long-term perspective.
Right now, after reading just one article recently, I learned that there is talk of the inhabitants of these areas still being scared of the season, just like the rainy season which is approaching, which seems to be evoking sad memories of that cyclone. Have you witnessed similar situations?
Thank you very much for that, Alois. Certainly, the women which we work with, during this time, when especially rains are coming up, heavy rains are coming up, it brings up the memories of what happened last time. And that's why we normally go with them through this, going through with this psychosocial support, so that at least they can deal with the trauma. But at least, yes, when you go through that event, and when the rains are coming up, certainly they tend to remind you of what happened. But as humanitarian actors and all this, we are trying as much as possible to make sure that at least the psychological side, which is normally not really taken up as a need, especially in a response, people normally look at the physical issues, but the issues of psychological support, mental health are critical. And we have seen that if you focus on those areas, it helps the people to quickly recover, and it helps them to have especially recovering very quickly in terms of the recovery work which you'll be doing. Thank you.
No, so are there any challenges which are confronting your work with the IRC?
In terms of challenges, certainly challenges which we are facing right now is what we need to do is we need more resources to be able to do more work which we can be able to do. We have got the capacity to be doing more work, but right now with the limited resources which we have and all that, it's hampering our ability to be able to expand and to be able to reach more people which we would have expected normally to be reaching at this time.
Okay, so do you also have programs which empower the inhabitants of these cyclone hit areas so that they move towards self-sustainability?
Yes, like I said, we have got some programs which are where we are building resilience. In terms of building resilience, we really support communities to be able to, at ward level, especially in Bridge and Nyanga, to map out what are some of these hazards which they face, and they come up with, it might be flash floods, it might be cyclones, it might be food. And then what they do now is they map out which areas who are the most vulnerable people, and they come up with activities which can be able to mitigate this. And for example, right now what we are doing in some of these drought prone areas, we are supporting irrigation schemes, we are supporting people with improved water, where we are drilling boreholes and ensuring that we solarize them, because we have realized by solarizing them, it reduces the workload of the women women and children whom we particularly want to save. And then by using drip kit, it's a water conservation area, and they can be able to as well produce their food, and they grow their own in small gardens and all that. And we are really looking at as well giving them multi-purpose grass, and we are giving them as well fodder production, especially by bridge, so that at least they can grow fodder and then be able to feed their cattle, so that at least their cattle can be able to survive during this time when there is a lean period and that the grass is not working, they don't have access to that. And we are looking at communities as well to say, in these areas, let's not rely only on agriculture. We are supporting farmers to say there are some natural resources which we have. Like in Bridge, there is marula, and in Nyanga, we are supporting them with apiculture, so that at least they can be able to grow, to harvest honey, to harvest marula, process it in such a way that they can be able to have that value chain. And we have seen some of these products coming into the shops. We have seen them selling honey into the shops. We have seen them even using the so-called indigenous things like the Mufanchi Mocha, those ones which people are now using for, especially during those COVID time, where people were using Zumbani now, which long back hasn't been used, but people are going back to those, and it's processed, and then now is being finding itself into the shops. So those are some of the things to say, yes, we want to do climate smart agriculture, but we have got natural resources which we can be able to economically harvest is in a sustainable way, and then make sure that we use that so that at least we commercialize it, we use it in such a way that whenever drought happens, we have got alternatives which we can be able to do. Thank you.
Okay, so are there any other areas where you have identified gaps which you think that other humanitarian partners can also chip in to try and assist?
I think right now, thank you very much, Alois. I think right now what has been said, especially with the UN report which we have said, Zimbabwe has been said is one of the 16 hotspots which we need especially to support right now. So more work needs to be, more resources needs to be done in terms of food security. And we have seen right now the COVID which we have. We really need more resources in terms of awareness raising. And now there's the talk of vaccination. I think more resources needs to be put into the health sector so that at least they can be able to capacitate our hospitals, our clinics, and then our frontline staff who are working so hard, so that at least they can have the PPEs which they really require to work, and to be able to support those people who have been affected by COVID. Thank you very much.
So as we round off this program, what would be your last word to your partners and viewers who are following?
I think what my last word is, I think as humanitarian actors and the development actors, we are here to support, to complement the government, and there is ability to be able to do more and to coordinate with the government. And so what we need to do is, if there is any possibility that we need more resources, to be able to work on our work and to collaborate, so that at least the resources which we have can be able to reach that poor woman, that most vulnerable child who needs education, that poor kid who needs health services in the rural areas where we serve, because that is what is required critically right now. If we can get more resources, channel through that, through various mechanisms, so that at least we can be able to reach the most vulnerable people whom we serve this time. Thank you.
Well, viewers, our program has come to an end. That was Mr. Zvidzai Maburutse, the country director of International Rescue Committee, who was just unpacking some of the issues taking place in the areas where they are providing humanitarian assistance. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Maburutse.
Thank you very much, Alois.
For these and other programs, please do not hesitate to visit our website, which is www.newzimbabwe.com, our Twitter handle, newzimbabwe.com, our Facebook page, newzimbabwe.com. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your viewing.